Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records. And today we're talking greatest hits collections. I'm calling this show You Didn't Grow Up a Rock Music Fan in the 80s Unless You Had at least some of these greatest hits tapes, maybe albums. Let's talk about the concept of the greatest hits compilation. Obviously you have to have some hits to have a greatest hits, or you have the greatest hit album, right? They don't really start arising until like 1971. Maybe the Stones have something, maybe Elton John by 74 has a greatest hits package. And the greatest hits cassette tape or album was a good way in the 80s for somebody. I'm 50, so I was born in 72, to dip your toe in the water to see if you like a band, and you know that you're going to get their best material on 10 tracks or so. It's a good way to see if you like a band. Maybe you'll then go back and explore the back catalog and buy the records or tapes or CDs and explore the back catalog. So I'm going to run through a list. I don't have any props because, at some point it became kind of uncool to just have the greatest hits because you weren't a real fan. You were just kind of a peripheral, wannabe fan of these groups. And there's even some on here that you really didn't want to have because, I don't know, it just wasn't cool to have just that. So, Bad Company's 10 from 6. So 10 songs from 6 albums, Bad Company, 10 for 6. Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits. I think it comes out like in 72, 73. Just a classic. The latest period one that I have on here is 1993's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers greatest hits. I think it had a couple of new tracks. It had Last Dance with Mary Jane. Is that the one it had on it? Yeah, I think it had Last Dance with Mary Jane and Something in the Air, which was a cover. Remember that? How good that was? Every one of those songs was good. How about Rolling Stones Hot Rocks 64 to 71? REM's, is it eponymous? Everything up, to like 1988. It was great. Still great. The Doors' greatest hits on cassette. Just so good. Rush Chronicles. Remember? Double disc CD, kind of a brown casing. Had all their hits. Plus it had some deeper tracks because it was a double CD. Weren't really double tapes. I guess there was maybe some double album greatest hits, but Queen's Greatest Hits Volume 1 and Volume 2. I didn't have it, but lots of people had that. How about CCR Chronicle 1, the 20 greatest hits? Again, this comes out like in 72. These are some of the earliest greatest hits packages. Madonna's Immaculate Collection. Pretty good, I'm not a huge Madonna fan. I like her, and if you do like her, that's a good one to have. REO Speedwagon, the hits. Came out in the late 80s, had everything on it. Pretty good. Bob Marley Legend. Came out in 1984. Awesome. All the big hits. He would later come up with a 4-disc, kind of a booklet box set on CD that was awesome and had deeper tracks, and really it was something to have. Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits, Volume 1 and 2. Volume 1 was in my parents' basement. It was kind of light blue with kind of a side picture of him. Everybody Must Get Stoned. Rainy Day Woman, was that what that's called? Rainy Day, yeah. The Best of the Doobies. Check out my brief history of the Doobie Brothers I did the other day. By the way, subscribe to my channel if you like this material. We do shows every single day. Aerosmith's greatest hits. I mean, it was white with the wings and red, By the way, you could buy these at a truck stop. Remember the little carousel consoles with the tapes in it at the checkout department or near the checkout department at the grocery stores or truck stops? Did we ever steal tapes from a truck stop or time or two? I don't know. I never would have done that. Steal a greatest hits package like Aerosmith. Another later period one, when Led Zeppelin came out with their box set, which featured Hey Hey What Can I Do, which was a single that was never released on an album. Had Travelin' Riverside Blues and Black Mountainside maybe, or somebody's going to correct me. Had a couple unreleased things. It was awesome to have all that Zeppelin in one box set. Beach Boys, 20 golden greats. Jimi Hendrix Smash Hits came out in 1968. Think about that. Maybe one of the earliest examples of a greatest hits package. Billy Joel's Greatest Hits Volume 1 and Billy Joel's Volume 2. I want to say he had a Volume 3. Eric Clapton's Timepieces. Did it have a live version of Cocaine on it? I don't know. Grateful Dead Skeletons in the Closet. We kept that as Deadheads. You didn't want to admit that you just had skeletons in the closet. Yeah, I got some Grateful Dead, and it's just skeletons in the closet. Well, it had Casey Jones on it and Truckin', and it was good. I had it in high school. It was actually my entry level into the Grateful Dead before I got into some live material. We're gonna do a show on my entry level in the Dead, some of the live albums at some point. Foreigner's Records. Like 10 songs, Jukebox Hero, Cold as Ice, Hot Blooded, Double Vision, just all the classics that you need to understand whether you like this band. The Beatles, 1962 to 1966, and then Volume 2 was 67 to 70. And it's chock full of great hits. I think there may have been some singles that weren't released on albums. Elton John's Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2 came out in 74. His first album doesn't come out till 70, and by 74 he's got a greatest hits. Spitting 1 or 2 albums out every year. Unbelievable. The Eagles, their greatest hits, 71 to 75. That came out in 1976, and then they dropped Hotel California. And then they only did one more album, but they had enough great songs in those 2 albums to do a Volume 2. The Eagles, greatest hits. Remember, it had the kind of the bird skeleton face on the light blue cover. And then the classic for me that everybody had, Steve Miller Band's Greatest Hits 74 to 78. Steve Miller Band had been around since the mid-60s. But from 74 to 78, he had so much good material, the Joker and all that stuff. Take the Money and Run. Just chock full. That was kind of the pinnacle tape that everybody had. Then everybody had to have it on CD too when CDs came out, because you had to have the Steve Miller Band stealing beers from your parents' basement and smoke or two. Anyway, that's my show. You weren't in the 80s if you didn't have some of these. If you were a rock and roll fan, check out my channel. Peace out. Have a good one. See ya.